Welcome back to The Big Show. It's Alex Belfield in the morning, BBC Radio Leeds. Now, with me is a member of one of the world's first boy bands. Yes, they consistently reach number one, not only in Britain, but all over the world, in Europe, North America, Japan and Australia, and have to this date sold around 300 million albums around the world. That must mean that Les McKeown is a very wealthy man. Hello.
Hello there, how are you doing?
Will you lend me a fiver?
No problem.
Your manager, he ripped you off, did he?
Oh, God bless his cotton socks. He probably needed to steal all our money to pay for his love of satin sheets.
That's what it was.
Yeah, very expensive back in the 70s. You know, nowadays you can buy them from Argos, Tesco and all that stuff, but back in the day they were, what, £10,000-15,000 for one well-made Egyptian satin sheet.
Do you have any idea roughly how much money he took out of your coffers personally?
You know, it's just kind of unknown. Nobody has any idea really how much he tea-leafed out of us, because he was always doing dodgy deals, cash deals, backhanded things, you know. So we don't really know, but his personal fortune would reflect possibly the amount of money that he thieved. So, you know, over 6 million quid.
He's of course now dead, so we can talk about it. 300 million albums. I'm guessing you've got to have made at least 300 million quid, haven't you?
I have. I've got it in my back pocket right now. And what's your address? I'll send that fiver up.
How does it feel to know, though, that you were working hard, doing all the hard work, and this man basically took advantage of you because he was sorting out the finances? It's not nice, is it, at the very least? Well,
he was sorting out the finances, but he just wasn't sorting out our finances. You know, for many a year I felt quite bitter about it, but was unable to do anything about it because at the time of signing contracts with Mr. Payton, we signed also, he had our power of attorney because we were young kids. Of course, nowadays that kind of contract would be thrown out of any court because you could possibly do that without you consulting people's parents and all that kind of stuff. And more than likely the contract was illegal anyway, but it gave him the power to open and close our bank accounts, put money in or take money out of our bank accounts and such like. And of course we were living in our little bubble, having a great time, must say, just absolute ball on the road, singing to thousands of girls who absolutely loved us and threw themselves at us morning, day and night. That part was occupying most of the left and right hand side of my brain, so I didn't have time to think about money.
How fun was it during your heyday? I mean, was it as hedonistic as it gets?
It was, yeah. Very, very hedonistic. You know, you would like the most sought after guy on the planet type of thing, you and your mates, and everything came ready and willing, you know.
And you could have anything in those days, stay in the best hotels, presumably fly first class around the world.
We did, yeah.
And then one day you wake up and you're not, and you can't, and you haven't even got the money to do it because your boss has nicked it.
Yeah.
When you came down from that high, what was your life like?
It was a long time on falling down those stairs all the way down into the basement of life. But you know, it's a tough knock, but it's something that happened and to me, and it happened to the other guys, I'm sure, to various degrees. Everybody handles it differently.
Is it a price worth paying?
I would say that in my life in particular, I think it was rather cruel the last 10 years, well, going back 5 years, the last 10 years before that, but I'm not sure if it's something to do with the basic roars or if it's just part of me not being able to deal with life at certain points of my of getting older, if you know what I mean.
They've now done the musical story of the Bay City Rollers. It is going to be on February 19th at the Picturedrome. That'll be in Home Firth. Seeing your life up in pictures and the downsides and the upsides, what was that like?
It's just part of growing up. You know, we've only got one life, and I think what happened to me was I was bottling things up that had happened to me in the past that were possibly damaging my my outlook on life, and were certainly damaging my health and causing me to drink more and do a lot of things that were bad for my health. And so I had to do something about it. In August 2008, I did. I completely stopped drinking, went into rehab and reevaluated everything and trying to now put everything back on a positive spin. The Rollermania show is an example of the rehab, what do you call it, philosophy of turning everything on its head. But forget about the negative, throw away the negative, replace it with the positive and see how it goes. And it's been working for me. It's been great because I keep thinking positive now. I've got this positive show, Rollermania, which talks about only all the positive things that happened in those few years we were at the top and we turned the world tartan.
All right, we're going to come back next, talk more Bay City Rollers, and you can see the show February 19th at the Picturedrome in Holmfirth. We'll take a piece of music and we'll come back next with Les McKeown.
Thank you.
We're back on the big show. It's Alex Belfield in the morning, BBC Radio Leeds, talking to Les McKeown today. He's the star of the Bay City Rollers, 300 million albums they sold over the years. Just touching back then on the booze side of it. Can you remember half of the 60s, 70s, 80s? When did you come down off the high?
Well, let me think. I mean, are we talking alcohol here, or are we just talking the general high being in the Bay City Rollers?
Yeah, start with the booze.
Well, the booze never kicked in until possibly, I'd say, early 90s. Started sort of going partying, binge drinking and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until 2002 that it really took me over. And from 2002 to 2008, I did a lot of damage to myself, my career, and my body. But and that was really just a long, painful come down from probably being as high as a kite with the Bay City Rollers in more ways than one. So, God, it's difficult to talk about all this in the small amount of time that we've got together here on the radio. But suffice to say that I was like on the top of the world, having a great time for 4 years. Then it all went south. And it took from that time till about 2008 for me to get over it.
And that feeling of standing on a stage in front of thousands, and they know who you are, they love you, they want to be you, they want to be part of your life, and they're paying to see you. Is there anything can compare to that high?
Not really, and I think that's what I realise and that's what I value these days, because I'm able to get back my appreciation for that very feeling that kicked me off in the music business when I was 15. So I'm back at square one, enjoying the music, enjoying the fans coming along. I'm enjoying all the aspects of it.
When you read these stories, just Googling you, it comes up with some pretty hideous stories on the internet. Of course, your manager not only screwed you financially, but also had talk of paedophilia and things like that. It all got very, very dark, didn't it?
It did die. I mean, it's not unique to the Bay City Rollers. My own situation was when I was abused when I was a kid, and I put it under my psyche and forgot about it. And it wasn't until later on, post 1990s, that all that start to eat away at my brain. You could eat away at my self-esteem and eat away at me, because you start looking for reasons why maybe you're not famous anymore. And yeah, it's a tough old world, but just because we were famous, or I was famous, it seems to be exploded and made larger than life, and as if I'm the only one that ever happened to. But there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, even in this country, that have been infected some way with the physical abuse, psychological abuse, and addiction. And what we need to do is we need to make the world a better place for them to get good help when it all comes down. It could happen to you, could happen to anyone who's listening to your show. They could have a tough time with their brain and fall off the edge. And we as a society need to be there to catch them when they fall and help them back and guide them back into a safe world.
How old were you when you were abused?
I was, I think it was about 18.
So you were an adult by that point then?
Well, you could say so.
And you've now come to terms with it. Have you had counselling and stuff like that?
I have. I had 3 months of rehab for the alcohol, and part of that was, it was more or less every waking hour we were having sessions about different things, homeopathy, being hypnotised, talking to counsellors, doing exercise, doing other things to build up your self-esteem again and to readjust you back into normal life.
Another thing that's talked about on the internet is rumours of you being bisexual. Is this something you talk about publicly, or is this just a lie?
No, there's nothing wrong with being a bit bisexual.
And this is the way you live your life, is it?
Not at the moment, no. I mean, that was something that was exclusively related to consuming large amounts of cocaine, ecstasy and alcohol.
Have you written an autobiography, Les?
2002, it's called Shang-a-Lang.
I'm going to go and buy it now. It seems like a fascinating life. At that point, had you discussed all the things we mentioned, alcoholism, abuse, bisexuality?
No. That's in my upcoming autobiography, which takes my life from the year 2002 onwards. Up to date, if you know what I mean.
When did you realise you were bisexual?
Well, I think actually probably before I was 18, but just what young people do when they're fooling around. I mean, I was quite the lad at school, and we did occasionally have 2 or 3 people involved in, let's say, fooling around, if we can say that.
What, guys and girls?
Yeah. And I mean, it started like, let's say, a couple of guys with a girl, and then they got bigger and things, got into party mode. And I suppose that's when that kind of thing happened. But it was never something that I thought was really disgusting or unusual in any way. It wasn't until you start seeing other people's reaction to gay people and bisexuality, that's when you start to have the problem with it, because you think, oh, look, wait a minute, everybody else thinks this is a bit weird.
Well, a lot of people think it's greedy, don't they? I mean, I would be bisexual, but I wouldn't want to be turned down by both sexes. Do you know what I mean? Were you straight when you were in the group, or were you still Arthur and Martha?
I think during the group there was far too many females throwing themselves at me to even think about batting for the other side.
A thing I've heard in the past, and see how you go with this, I don't know whether it's true or not, is that some guys end up bisexual because it's easier to pull other guys than it is women. Is there any truth in that?
I've no idea.
You've never had a problem either way?
No.
And where are you now then in your life? No drink anymore? I mean, because you are an alcoholic, you never stop being that, do you?
Well, that's what they say. They say it's a disease and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe it. I think it's mind over matter. And I don't think that alcohol matters anymore in my life. If I have a drink, I have a drink. If I don't, I don't. But I'm not addicted to any substance at the moment.
Well, congratulations for you. The only thing we haven't talked about, of course, is the drugs. We've covered everything else. Was that a part of your life?
That was a big part of my downfall, you could say. I mean, it's, from the soft drugs, from taking that from pretty early age. But when we went to America in 1976, that's when the cocaine kicked in. And people sort of, this is what everybody does in Hollywood. Everybody does this sort of thing. And so you feel a wee bit, let's say, a bit peer pressure there and a bit unusual if you don't have a sniff. And then one sniff leads to another sniff, needs to you buying it, needs to you, well, for me, I was a bit greedy with that kind of stuff. And it came to a head somewhere around 2004, where I completely gave up that kind of stuff. And in fact, any illegal substances at all. You know
what's the irony about all of this, Les, is that you were so clean cut. I mean, the Bay City Rollers had that boy band image that they were as pure as the driven snow. Little did we know that we'd got homosexuality going on, bisexuality, abuse, we'd got drugs, we'd got drink, we'd got all kinds of debauchery going on. Yeah. You managed to cover it very well, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, I think in the early days what happened was when the Bay City Rollers became famous, all of the things that were positive were true. I mean, none of us drank. Okay, Alan had the occasional pint. He was the oldest guy in the band, but absolutely nobody drank in the band. And it wasn't through anyone ordering us not to drink. We just didn't drink. And it wasn't until we went to the big Hollywood and America kind of thing that we started to try and fit in with that type of Hollywood lifestyle, that superstar lifestyle that we perceived was kind of cool and groovy. Mind, little did we know that most of the heavy rock bands and the death metal bands were all fitness fanatics, and none of them took drugs or alcohol. It was just a big put on from them.
Wow.
And in the meantime, we perceived that that's what you needed to do, you know, throw televisions at windows, get completely drunk and you know, have debauched sexual encounters with, you know, 24 women and a dog or whatever, you know.
Blaming me now.
So it was all a bit of a big con. And,
do you know what? You know, all this is making me realise is how boring my life is, Les, to be perfectly honest with you. There's nothing going on. I did have dinner with Jay McDonald about 3 weeks ago.
Well, there you go. That's exciting, isn't it?
I had quiche Lorraine for me tea on Monday, belly pork last Friday. That's about as exciting as it gets.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know if it's great, all these stories or these things that I'm telling you. I'm just saying that that's what happened, and it was just part of the whole phenomenon, really. I mean, having girls ready and waiting for you in more ways than one, it's just like every schoolboy, adult.
Do you get
boy's
carried
dream.
away with that? Just help me with that, because that's something I've never experienced. The fact that girls are actually up there, prepared to do anything you want in any place you want. You can fly them all over the world because you've got the money to do it. How does that feel? Because that's not normal, is it?
Well, I think the kind of sexiest thing about all that was that girls were actually sexually aroused, as maybe a boy would be if he was, let's say, sexual. They were actually gagging for it, if you know what I mean. And that got quite, that was quite amazing, getting used to that.
Never come across that in my life, to be perfectly honest with you.
I need to talk to you more.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to go for a dinner for a start, because you're fascinating.
Why don't we
pop
over to Hollywood?
Where are you living now, by the way?
I'm in sunny Hackney, down in London.
All right. Well, you'll have to come up north, because I don't come down to London. Too many shandy drinkers.
Where are you? Down in Leeds?
I'm here, yeah, and we're looking forward to you coming to
Holmfirth
at the Picturedrome for the Bay City Rollers story, which is going to be fabulous. And what an interesting guy you are. Will you come in and see us again? Because I've got so many questions, and I need to talk to you more about your life. Incredible. Just very finally, the final question I must ask is, everything okay now, is it? You've got through the other side and you're restarting your life again after 10 years of a haze?
Yeah, I could say that's pretty much an accurate description of what I'm currently doing. Just reinforcing the good points in my life all the time, getting back recording. I've been writing and recording a new album, which will be due for release this summer. I'm off to a 3-month tour in America. The Japanese want me back there for a big tour, so things are going great ever since I started being on a downer.
Well, to think that all those years ago you didn't know the difference between Morecambe Bay and, I don't know, Bombay. Now you've got yourself sorted. Les McKeown, the Bay City Rollers, of course, of the group. Millions and millions of albums, 300 million sold around the world. Big star in America, and he's coming to Holmfirth to the Picturedrome on the 19th of February. And we'll end with a track from the Bay City Rollers. Good to talk to you. Thank you, Les.
Thank you, Alex.